Hey everybody, it's Brooke. I'm back. We're still working on our purple slow stitch journal cover. If you'd like to see what's happening, stick around and we'll get to it. Okay, I've done a little more work on our cover. Alfred's tail got all spangled up with sequins. And he got a little crown on his head. So he's coming together just beautifully. He's got his eye and his little beak now, so he's got some personality. I like him a lot. What else have I done? We did that last time. I put some beads in the middle of that yo-yo. I've pinned down a possible little treatment for the ground. I felt like it needed to be anchored. And we've got our felted wool leaves there, and I thought we'd start with those because I want to get those down. So I think I will do fly stitch on these guys. Let's see if we can get it where you can see it. I think what I'm going to do is grab my glue stick. I don't have my little one handy. This might get messy. Just to hold that in place while we do the stitching, because I think the pin will be in our way. It's awfully small. That glue seems very dry. Oh, that's not where it was. It was down here. Was it? Maybe more of an angle. Yeah, that glue does not feel like it's going to do anything. Well, we'll just have to hope for the best, won't we? Okay, so I have my needle all threaded. And again, I apologize for the hot spot over here, but I need that direct light. So to do a fly stitch, we are going to come up from the back, right at the point of our leaf. And this is green on green. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but we'll do it on our scrap white fabric so you can see better. And then I'm going to come down. That's our straight stitch. And I'm going to angle up towards the left. And I think this felt might be too thick for me to do it in one motion, so we're going to do a couple motions. I'm going to come up on the left, pretty close to the edge because this will be the vein. Come up and across. Go across to the other side. Hopefully you guys can see this. Now that green on green is going to be tricky. Okay, at the same height as our other stitch. And then I'm not going to pull it all the way through. I'm going to come up in the middle in that same hole where our straight line is, because we're making the vein in the middle. And then pull it down, catching that thread, and we've got a V. Can you guys see the V? Yeah, that does not show up very well at all. Looks like our little first stitch got pulled out of whack. There we go. We're going to come down again, just as far as you want. Make sure to stab yourself on the back of the fabric. That's important. That's an important step. Actually, you might want to avoid that because it kind of smarted. Okay, and then again, going to come up over on the left-hand side of our leaf. Come across to the right-hand side at the same height. Don't pull it all the way through, but come up where you ended your straight stitch in your vein, and then pull that through, and you'll get your V. So that is going to be that, and you just keep going until you get to the bottom of your leaf. Let me I'll do one more and then we'll go over onto the white fabric where you can probably see it better. I love a fly stitch. I think it's really pretty. It's really handy. It makes great stems, just decorative edges. Okay. There are a couple variations of it too, but I generally do this kind. Thread separated a little bit. Let's fluff that back up. There we go. Right, I'll just bring this. Oh, you know what? I only need one more stitch. Let's just finish this leaf up, and I'll do the other ones off camera. So I'm coming out on the left-hand side. Oh, I'm threading my thread. Of course, because why wouldn't I? Silly me. Let's see if we can get that threaded in less than 100 tries. Well, look at that. She got it in one. Pretty exciting. And then go back over to the right. Same height, equidistant. Come down. Oop, I almost pulled that too far, but I think we got it. Leave a little loop there. Come back up where we came down in our vein. And then I'm just going to take it right down to the point of that leaf. And that's attached and decorative. So that worked out beautifully. Love it. Okay, let's tie that off and we'll go on to some white fabric so I can show you a little better. I didn't want it to stand out too much. I just wanted it to be a subtle little bit on those leaves. Getting pretty busy. I love it. You know I love my stitching to be busy, busy, busy. Okay, so there's that. So let's get a knot in here. Find our little piece of linen. Okay, here we go. I had that ready. Go me. Okay, so what I did was I came up from underneath, go down, that's our straight stitch, angle your needle up towards the left. Boy, this linen is soft. Drop the needle. No, don't do that. Okay. And then go across from the stitch you just made. Go down, angle towards the left again, come up through that hole, make sure your thread is underneath your needle, because that's what's going to make your V. So I'll do one more. There are a million videos for every kind of stitch on YouTube. To get a real clear, concise tutorial, just search how to do the fly stitch in embroidery. And you'll get quite a few options. Okay. And then one more down there to continue that vein. And that is the entire fly stitch. Very easy, very effective. It's awesome. And we got one of our leaves down. So I'll do the other two exactly the same way. And I thought I would put in some grass so we can put in a few more flowers and get this front finished. We need to get the whole darn thing finished. I have variegated pearl cotton on my needle. I don't know if you can actually see that that's variegated. There we go. It is a DMC. I think it's a number 5. It was on this card, so I'm not sure. But it's really pretty. And it picks up all the different greens. So I thought that would be good to throw a few little straight stitches down to represent some grass. That is getting thick. Wish you guys could tell me what you think about the sari ribbon and the little piece of muslin underneath there. It's not stitched down yet. I was going to put my grass bits in and then try to decide. I think I like it because it's a little bit of an anchor. I'm worried it's getting a little dark. This eyelash trim is enough to make you go crazy. So I started with the light end of the variegated thread. You could, if you wanted to start dark, you could certainly just knot the thread on the other end and you'd be starting with a different color. So take that into consideration if you're going to use variegated thread, which color you would like to start with. Okay, I'm ready for it to start changing now. Come on, thread. Start getting darker now. And I'm just going underneath that muslin in case we decide to keep it. The grass will be tucked underneath. But I'm trying to keep the blades ending, or the stitches ending, at the same level so that if we don't use it, they won't be all over the place. There's sort of a method to the madness. Then I thought I'd throw some beads in here to look like little tiny flowers, maybe some French knots. I think the only French knot I've done is for his eye, and then I did them in the sequins to hold the sequins in place. I know a lot of people are terrified of French knots. The last time I went on live and slow stitched, that was a big question. So maybe we'll go over that real quick. Again, for a professional and more concise tutorial, just search on YouTube. You'll find tons. Because sometimes I'm as clear as mud. I try, but you know. Okay, so this will give a little bit of grass detail. Some place for Alfred to stand with his funny little bird legs. I like his bird legs. And I'm just trying to make them different heights and some different angles. Ow. Oop, make sure I'm not bleeding. I was using the beading needle yesterday, and boy, is that thing thin and sharp. Yikes. I hope I'm holding this so you guys can see it. I think you can. Look at the sparkle from those sequins. Nothing sparkles like a sequin. Alright, pretty subtle, but I like it. Jury is still out on this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and knot this off. Set that aside for a second. Oh, I also started doing some cantho stitching over here, and I'll continue that. I just use my heat erasable pen to put those lines in. Do we want to keep this? I'm just not sure. I'm not sure at all. Let's throw some French knots on top of some of these blades. Actually, you know what? I wish I hadn't chopped that off now. Let's make a couple of them longer, and we'll put some French knots on the longer ones. Taller, I guess. Taller, longer, same thing. Go over here. If I start over on the same end, we'll get a different color going, so that's cool. Yeah, get out of the way. All the fabric is fighting back. There we go. We've got some variegation right in the center. That's nice. That was a happy accident. I like how the stitches look over that cotton lace. Another texture is nice. Don't you unthread on me. Unacceptable. flatten that out. Make sure that the fabric isn't distorted with too tight a stitch. Alright, and I think one more after that. Well, I don't really want it to go over his tail, so maybe not. Knot that off again. We'll get some purple out. Oh, I like the grass a lot. That looks good. Get our purple. Where's the end? Oh, there it is. I think maybe we'll do 3 strands. I'm not going to take too long a piece of embroidery floss because as you wrap it and pull through to make the knot, you start weakening the thread, so you don't want to have too long a piece because by the time you get to the end, it'll be a big old mess. Separating out 3 strands, or trying to anyway. Nope. 2 and 4 is what it wants to do. No. I will prevail. Okay, I guess I won't prevail. I guess we're going to be using 4, just so we can have some substance. Maybe we'll use the 2. I don't know. Let's get them untangled and then we'll decide. Ooh, it's being very fresh. That's just not going in well at all. There we go. Meh. Alright, 2 wins. So go ahead and try this again. Think we can get it in 1? Whoa! It's my lucky threading day. Get a knot down at the end. Okay, so we'll go to our first one here, our first tall guy, and come up from the back. And I'm going to lay it down flat. I do a lot of picking up and putting down when I'm doing French knots. I'm going to take my needle and wrap my thread around. That's twice, 3, 4. I want a pretty good size knot, so I've got 4 loops on there. And then holding the thread tight in my left hand, I'm going to go back down really close to where I came out, making sure to keep tension on that knot, and using my board, stick the needle into the board and then lift the fabric with my hand, keeping that tension. Just keep the tension all the way down, and then you don't get those pesky little loops. It doesn't make a mess. Now, I sometimes like the pesky little loops because it makes kind of a nice flower. So we'll do that one again. Come up where you want your knot. Wrap your thread. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stick your needle in real close to where you came out. Okay, so I'm burying that needle into my felt board and pulling the thread taut with my left hand. Okay, now I've got the needle from the back side, and I'm just keeping that tight and pulling it through. And you get a nice tidy French knot every time. So those are French knots, and then we could put some down just in the grass. It's like little buds hanging out down there. I do think I'll bring some beads in as well. Can't have enough beads. Oh, that was not enough wraps on that one. I guess we should do at least 4 wraps. Because we've got the lace to fight with here. That one kind of just disappeared into the lace. There we go. There's 4 wraps again. These pins are starting to bug me, so we're going to have to make a decision. Oh, I just unthreaded, darn it. So it's still mighty chilly here in Maine. It is the 22nd of May, and we're still wearing coats. It's ridiculous. Rainy and cold. Memorial Day weekend is coming up here in the U.S. I'm hoping we'll have some nice weather for that, maybe. It could happen. Hoping to have a friend come up. Be nice to be able to cook out, enjoy the outside a little bit. But it's not very enjoyable when it's that chilly and damp out. Alrighty, so that is a French knot, and I'll keep going through there and do that. I think I like that ground there. I think I've decided we like it. Since you guys aren't there to tell me what to do, I decided for you. I mean, you are there, but you can't tell me. You know what I mean. All right. So those are starting to look kind of cute. Little flowers down in the grass. Got our leaves. Gonna do those. So, yep, I think I like this. I do want to trim it back just a little bit on this end. Just so it doesn't cover up the little fluff ball that we put there. Guess I'll take the silk off and we'll stitch this piece down. Okay, this is just regular sewing machine thread. It's a nice neutral color. It works for just about everything. We could do a couple rows of running stitch, but as I said, it's getting busy and it's going to get busier. I'd like to stitch some flowers up in here as well. Well, the little skinny one's going to be the one that gives me a hard time threading. There we go. I shed constantly. And that was one of my hairs. Okay. Just do a little invisible stitch to get this guy in place. Nothing exciting. I'm going to leave the edges just flapping around. I like that frayed look. And I'm going to move that pin because it stabbed me one too many times. That'll hold this in place, and we'll just do a stitch down the center of the sari on top. So that will be fun to have a couple different fabrics, a couple more different fabrics. Can't have enough. So I know I say this every time, but an invisible stitch, I'm just doing a tiny stitch on the top and then as long a stitch as you want on the back. And that will anchor this in place. Go zipping down the side here. Not too close to the edge, but not too far away either. Give it a little chance to fray, but it shouldn't fray past your stitches, so that is good. I'm right-handed, so I generally like to stitch right to left. Right to left. I have to think about that for a minute. And I think this is the last video I will do on stitching this cover, and I'll finish it up off camera and come back and start doing the construction of the actual journal, which I think will be fun. Maybe in the next video I'll go over what I did to finish up the piece, and then we'll start constructing so you can see where it all ended up. Alright, that'll hold that nicely. What a mess on the back, huh? Good thing no one's gonna see it. Well, except you guys, and you won't tell, will you? I will not win prizes at the state fair for my stitching, let's put it that way. If that's what you are after, this is not the channel for you. Boy, that's hard to see. Alright. You let go, you. Do we have any green left? Or do I need another length? Yep, I do like that. And just kind of stitch that on, twisted and bumpy. I guess we need a little more green thread. I thought we had some left, but maybe we used it on our French knots. It's probably about as close as I'm going to get to a match. I've used a lot of this green thread in this project. I've used a lot of thread, period. I just can't stop adding things. I'll just use one strand for this because I really don't want it to show much. Sure is purple and green. That's what we were after. Might have to take a break from purple things. We've made several. I still have so much fabric left. Maybe I'll put together some bundles so you guys could do some purple and green if you would like. I do love the combo. All right. Try to get it to spread out a little bit. Do a little invisible stitching on this as well. Nope, I don't want it up that high. Try to catch one of those folds, get that to stay in place. Can you see that? I'm way low, sorry guys. Oh, darn it. I should have pinned the whole thing, huh? See what happens when you're lazy? Now I've made a knot. made a big mess. What the heck did I do? Something is all looped around itself. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Let's see. Don't be lazy and not use a knot. See what happens? I'm really not sure what is going on here. Alright, we'll take it out one stitch at a time. Be that way. Totally knotted. There. Okay. Be that way. Just be that way. So there's that. Let's pin this end because that was kind of a disaster. Let's pretend like we've learned our lesson. I very rarely learn my lesson. Putting this sari ribbon down here almost makes me want one more dark green leaf. Because it's like 1, 2, 3, and now that's 4 pieces of that dark green. And I do prefer an odd number, so that may have to happen. Alright, let's just try this again. Grab my needle puller. Try to spread this out a little bit. Keep pulling it towards myself, sorry guys. Don't want it to go all the way up to the top is the thing. Ooh. We don't want a big giant stitch like that on the top side. No, we don't. So I'm just doing some little random tiny stitches. Boy, this stuff has a mind of its own, doesn't it? It's worth it though, because it makes such a pretty effect. Way down low again. Yes, I am. Shame on me. So just trying to manipulate the fabric with my left hand and then catching it with the needle and some tiny stitches to hold it in its place. See, we're getting that pretty little fold in the wrinkle. So it's kind of a grass-like effect. I like it. Fussy for sure, but I think it's going to be worth it. I do believe. Come back down here towards the bottom. It's also securing the middle of that muslin we put down below it. So, 2 birds with 1 stone, as they say, which is just a terrible expression. Why would you want to kill the birds? Come back up over here. Grab this a little bit. Getting towards the end of the sari silk. Kind of like the way it's tapered down there, so I think I'll try to save that. Stab, stab. I unthreaded again, darn it. Just zoom across the bottom, catch that a few times. Get that pin out of there before I bury it. I think that is pretty darn secure. Get that tied off on the back. Get you out of my way. There we go. How are we doing on time? Oh, we've been here for a while. Good grief. That's why it's called slow stitching. All right. So there's our little base that we just put in, which I like a lot. So remember, this is a book cover, so it'll be just that part showing. Alfred's little tail is going to go around onto the spine a little bit, but that's okay. So that worked out just exactly where I would want that piece to end. That's cool. Right, coming up on the spine. So I think that is looking really good. Let me bring it up. There it is, you guys. It's coming along. So I think I will go ahead and finish this off camera. I'll come back and show you what I did, and we'll start putting the journal itself together. So if you had a good time, it would be lovely if you considered giving me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever works for you. And if you're new here, thanks so much for stopping by, and I hope you'll subscribe and come back and see what we're going to do with Alfred the bird. And if you're not new here, thanks for coming back, you guys. I'll see you real soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye.